Today, we are not only going to see how 5 stage 5 CKD patients avoided dialysis, we are also going to find ways to apply these findings to you to lower your creatinine levels fast. Gathering here, the number of patients with end-stage renal disease in need for dialysis is growing annually around the world, and treatments are getting more expensive. There is the need for an alternative, one that doesn't involve someone passing away and leaving you with one of their organs. These researchers may have found one. In this study, 5 end-stage kidney disease patients were able to avoid the need for dialysis successfully for up to 10 months. This is why I'm here today. I want to spread the awareness for kidney disease and for the treatments that may save people from dialysis. But outside of the small world of CKD, very few people know about the dangers of kidney disease. This is why I want you to share this video now with anyone you know who is suffering from kidney problems, diabetes, or high blood pressure. Question: what is the dialysis-free protocol? So let's take a look now at what researchers call the dialysis-free protocol. This is a 3-step plan that was effectively used to stop the need for dialysis. Thanks to it, doctors were able to assist end-stage renal disease patients in greatly delaying or even completely avoiding dialysis. Some patients were able to be dialysis-free for months, and some of them who were waiting for a transplant were able to never undergo dialysis at all.
You're gonna like it.
And most of what these researchers found out may also be relevant for CKD patients in stage 3 and 4 of CKD. These findings may help you stabilize your kidney function and lower your creatinine levels. To achieve this, scientists employed an extremely effective 3-step plan aimed at completely removing nitrogenous waste outside of the kidneys. So, question: what is nitrogenous waste? And why removing it is key to protect the kidneys? Removing nitrogenous waste from the human body is the main job the kidneys do. You may have heard about nitrogenous waste called ammonia, urea, uric acid, and creatinine. The buildup of these toxins is responsible for most of the symptoms of kidney disease and the main reason why people are put on dialysis. When these substances build up in the body because the kidneys cannot remove them anymore, people will see symptoms such as fatigue, swelling, trouble breathing, nausea, and many other problems caused by kidney disease. Now, finding ways to remove these substances when the kidneys cannot without the use of dialysis is also a valid strategy to protect the kidneys from the damage these toxins will cause them. And there are only 2 ways these cores can leave the body: through urine and through feces. And that's what it takes for someone with CKD stage 5 to be dialysis-free. Removing these toxins through the gut instead of through the kidneys, while greatly decreasing the production of said toxins. Question: how can we employ our gut to get rid of these dangerous cores? The answer is using a substance that binds to toxins in the gut, giving the body the possibility of excreting them through the feces, and this is the first step in the dialysis-free protocol. Now, there are various substances that can do this. Acacia fiber is one of the most powerful detoxifiers, and it has the added benefit of being a probiotic. Psyllium husk is also a detoxifier, but is not as powerful as AST 120, a specific medication for those with CKD, and activated charcoal. Now, all these 4 remedies may be used to bind and remove uremic toxins in the gut, but what they use in the dialysis-free protocol is activated charcoal. That was the first step to achieve freedom from dialysis for these 5 patients. It is a powerful detoxifier, and in this 3-step protocol, it was used as a form of intestinal dialysis. Researchers believe that activated charcoal is especially effective at removing toxins derived from urea, uremic toxins, and phosphorus. And activated charcoal definitely works against symptoms of CKD at the point that it was also used in stage 3 and 4 patients to slow down the progression of the disease. Question: how can you use activated charcoal to slow down CKD? Now, what we must know about activated charcoal is that it's a really potent detoxifier. People use it every day in small dosages as a home remedy against bloating, gas, diarrhea, and also to get their teeth whiter. Emergency room doctors, on the other hand, use it to treat poisoning, and people with kidney disease in stage 3 and 4 may use it to lower their phosphorus levels and to help heart health. This is what a study published in the Journal of Nephrology found out. In this study conducted in Japan, small doses of activated charcoal, 0.6 to 1.2 grams, were administered 3 times a day at meals. Patients were found to be way less likely to develop high phosphorus levels and, even more important, vascular calcification. Vascular calcification are mineral deposits on the walls of your arteries and veins. It's a very serious and very common issue, and this remedy can help. Now, in the 5 kidney disease patients from the dialysis-free protocol, the dose of activated charcoal used was higher, 15 grams, 2 to 3 times a day. Never take that dose without the supervision of a doctor. And activated charcoal may be already prescribed in those with kidney disease in stage 3 and 4 for its main benefits. It can be used to delay dialysis for years. A special type of activated charcoal called AST-120 is actually being prescribed to kidney disease patients in stage 3 and 4 in the Philippines, Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea. Researchers from South Korea in particular have demonstrated that AST-120 can delay dialysis up to 4 years in pre-dialysis patients. Now, AST-120, also known as gramazine, is something hugely important because it's one of the few medicines available for prescription today specifically aimed at slowing down kidney disease. But it was never approved in the US, not even studied in depth. So you are probably wondering why these powerful treatments are never studied in the US. Question: why studies on how to avoid dialysis always come from outside the US? Okay guys, in one of my videos, someone in comment section complained that all my studies are from China. I was almost going to report that comment because, you know, calling all Asian people Chinese is racist. But then I decided to take the high road. I'm not Chinese, by the way. I'm from the Philippines and I was raised in Italy. Yeah, that's why I have this accent. And yes, many of the studies I talk about in my videos are not from the US. Many are from Europe. They also do a lot of good science here in Italy, and some are from Japan, Korea, China obviously, and some are from certain Middle Eastern countries even. So what's the difference between all these countries and the US? Well, in all these countries, the government uses tax money to pay for health care, and that's a huge difference because, you know, if the government has your health as a target, things are very different for you as a patient. Dialysis is costly, and finding ways to reduce the number of people ending up in dialysis can save the government a huge amount of money. That's why you can access AST-120, a special version of activated charcoal, if you are in many Asian countries. That's why you always see CKD patients in most European countries following a diet created and studied to avoid dialysis. All of these studies are, at least in part, receiving government funds, and that can make a big difference. On the other hand, patients in the US are still being told today to just keep eating steak and wait for dialysis. And if that isn't bad enough for the patients, there's also a study that's being hugely delayed by the fact that they don't care if you end up on dialysis. A study that's being conducted in the US and that could put an end to the world dialysis. Yeah, I'm talking about the artificial kidney. You know what's keeping the Kidney Project team from actually testing the artificial kidney on dialysis patients? The same reason why they have to sell t-shirts and ask for donation to keep going on. Money. Yeah, it's just that. They need $10 million to start testing on humans. And you may think that $10 million is a big sum, but if you put it in perspective, it's not really. Any billionaire of the world could end CKD in the blink of an eye and be remembered forever as the guy who stopped one of the world's deadliest diseases. And the prize would be basically pocket change for them. But they choose not to. All they care about is buying Twitter and losing $200 billion in the process. So why not the artificial kidney? Because that's not gonna make them any money. The dialysis industry, on the other hand, makes a lot of money, and they are going to keep it that way if they can. So that's why I want you to share this video and to raise the awareness. So you know now why the dialysis-free protocol was tested in Asia and not in the US. But it doesn't mean this is not a very meaningful study. Back to the dialysis-free protocol, we have seen the first step to avoid dialysis, taking a powerful detoxifier to get rid of part of the toxins through the gut. The second step is making sure that the gut is 100% healthy and efficient. Because if you want your gut to do some of the work the kidneys usually do, you should better make sure it's in tip-top shape. And what they use to achieve this is a prebiotic that's also a laxative. According to studies, prebiotics are extremely powerful when it comes to lowering creatinine levels in all the stages. They can effectively improve probiotic count, the good bacteria in the gut. They can basically consume uremic toxins, protecting the kidneys. To achieve this, the second step in the dialysis-free study is a prebiotic called lactulose. Lactulose 30 milliliters or 20 grams 3 times per day in order to change the gastrointestinal microflora to help bacteria and reduction of nitrogenous waste. Lactulose is a synthetic sugar used to treat constipation. It is broken down in the colon into products that remove uremic toxins. The result is a huge drop in creatinine levels. And while this is really helpful, it's worth noticing that lactulose is a prescription medication, at least in some countries. A good alternative would be to use the acacia fiber or another form of soluble fiber to both detox and help gut health. Acacia fiber is very powerful and it can be used safely by patients in all the stages of kidney disease. Okay, time now to see the last, maybe the most important step to avoid dialysis. This is something I recommend to anyone with kidney problems actually. Now, to avoid dialysis, these patients needed 3 things. First, to get rid of nitrogenous waste with a powerful detoxifier, activated charcoal. Second, a prebiotic to help gut health. Third, a diet that greatly lowers the nitrogenous waste production in the body. Because that's what makes kidney disease progress. And what's the #1 cause of nitrogenous waste formation? Protein intake. Guys, saying that this step is key in all the stages of CKD to slow down the progression of the disease is an understatement. The low protein diet or LPD treatment has been used on thousands of CKD patients and science has pretty solid data on it. Modern guidelines consider this diet the cornerstone of the treatment for kidney disease. And while until some time ago the low protein diet was controversial for patients with diabetes, today we know that even people who need to keep their blood sugar level under control can protect their kidneys eating a low protein diet. I've explained this from a more practical point of view in my video up here. We talk about the basis of reversing kidney disease, the food you need to eat and those you need to avoid. In the last few videos, we have seen stories of real patients avoiding dialysis thanks to this dietary approach. I tried to follow all your advice. I'm now pretty fit and quite healthy. I'm no more risking dialysis now. And we have also examined the science behind it. Researchers found out the single most important dietary intervention to avoid dialysis. Yes, my point here is that there is hope. even in the advanced stages, including stage 4 and 5 pre-dialysis. I've seen it personally. I've seen patients approaching dialysis fast that changed their lifestyle and changed the way they were eating. Many of them achieve what some thought was impossible, reversing CKD in the advanced stages. There is even proof in scientific literature that this can happen. But while many doctors will tell you to avoid potassium, to be careful with phosphorus, there is one dietary intervention that many patients have to find about by themselves: the low protein diet. And guys, there is huge news about this diet. One of the most important debates about the low protein diet has finally been settled. I'm talking about diabetes. A very recent meta-analysis shed some light on the benefits of a low-protein diet for those with diabetes and kidney disease. More about this later on in this video. Before that, a very important question. Why some patients are still not following a low-protein diet? Today, it still looks like patients are never informed well enough by their doctors, which is a shame because, and I will be very clear on this, nothing else is gonna work if you don't avoid protein. And guys, I know that the low protein diet today in 2022 is still a controversial topic. And I've seen doctors on YouTube recommending patients to eat a keto diet instead, which is crazy. And I've seen doctors even in real life arguing that without protein, the tissue in the body will be damaged. I've also seen those arguing that diabetics would fare worse with a low-protein diet. Today, I want to clarify some of these issues from a practical point of view. So, very important, if you have any doubt about what I say about the low-protein diet, ask down in comment section so we can talk about it. I always receive very interesting questions from you guys, and I always do my best to answer as many as I can. And I also understand that removing protein from the diet is a huge change with many ramifications, so it is only natural that many people ask, does it really work? Can you really reverse kidney disease with a low protein diet? Well, there are two main reasons why today a diet low on protein should be recommended to those with kidney disease. The first is a review of studies on the benefits of a low protein diet. It was published in 2017 and it identified 8 different benefits of the low protein diet. First, decrease proteinuria, very important because proteinuria is the most important predictor of future decline in kidney function. Decreasing it means actually delaying dialysis. Second, decrease uremic toxins. Uremic toxins are the cause of most symptoms of kidney disease. Third, decrease oxidative stress linked to inflammation, which also cause several problems. Fourth, decrease metabolic acidosis. Fifth, decrease phosphorus, very important for bone health among other things. Sixth, decrease insulin resistance in those with diabetes. Seventh, decrease blood pressure, and most important, slow down the decline of GFR. This means that basically just by limiting protein intake, dialysis can be delayed very significantly. These findings were also confirmed by an even larger review of studies published on the Cochrane Library. This is a meta-analysis firstly published in 2000 and lastly updated in 2020, conducted on 2,996 patients, mostly in stage 4 and 5 of CKD. Researchers found out, thanks to this meta-analysis, what the single most important dietary intervention to avoid dialysis is, which is not, according to them, just a low-protein diet. What they consider the single most important intervention to delay dialysis is the very low protein diet. Question: what's the difference between a low protein diet and a very low protein diet? Those diets are both suitable for patients with kidney disease and both can be very helpful, as we have seen. In theory, we could say that a low protein diet is better in the early stages and a very low protein diet, or VLPD from now on, is better in the advanced stages. The main difference is the quantity of protein present in the diet. A low protein diet, which also includes most vegan and vegetarian regimes, usually means that the patient is going to have around 40 grams of protein per day. 40 grams mean that you can actually have a small portion of some high protein food, such as meat, eggs, or fish on a daily basis. The VLPD is different because it limits the patient to just around 20 grams of protein per day. That means that several foods are going to be restricted, including but not just meat, eggs, and fish. And again, this is an extremely effective way of protecting the kidneys, and in some cases to completely reverse kidney disease. And one thing that most people don't expect to see when they stop eating protein, they usually feel immediately better. I've seen this happen in many patients, and while I consider it to be surprising at first, I now believe this is to be expected. I mean, less protein also implies that there is less toxins, less waste product for the kidneys to filter. So you may actually feel better and fast when starting a low protein diet. And very important, according to literature, there is a lot of difference in terms of progression of kidney disease between a low and a very low protein diet. Low protein can help, very low protein can stop kidney disease. And while the exact amount of protein will change depending on your body weight, there are some foods that are always good for you and some that you always want to avoid. So what foods are always allowed in a VLPD? All vegetables and fruits suitable for a renal diet will fit it in a VLPD. They don't contain protein. The exception is legumes, nuts, and seeds. These do contain some protein. They can be had, but in very small amounts. High-fat foods such as vegetable and olive oils, but also olives, flax seeds, chia seeds are very recommended. Now, as we can see, someone with potassium levels under control may add avocado and coconut, two very healthy fat sources, to their diet. What foods should you always avoid in a VLPD? High-protein foods are to be avoided completely in a VLPD. This includes any kind of meat and fish, but also eggs and dairy are to be completely removed. Red meat intake in particular was strongly associated with an increased risk of kidney damage by a published paper. Nuts and seeds are a gray area, as we have seen, because they are lower in protein and richer in healthy fats than meat and fish. Okay, a very important question that has finally an answer. What about people with diabetes? Is a low protein diet good for diabetic kidney disease? Okay, this question is a pretty hard one, and it has been a source of debate and controversy for years. You see, there are only 3 macronutrients, 3 sources of calories and nourishment for the human body: protein, carbohydrate, and fat, nothing more. You cannot get calories from anything else. Now, there is no doubt that limiting carb intake helps with diabetes, especially high glycemic index foods. So diabetes patients are often told to limit carb intake and to eat more fat and protein to compensate. But on the other hand, protein do cause damage to the kidneys. No doubt about that either. And I mean, even if you have diabetes and kidney disease, you still have to eat something. You cannot just starve. So what's the answer? Should someone with diabetes and kidney disease limit their protein intake? A recent review of studies conducted on 506 participants, all suffering from diabetic kidney disease, seems to have found an answer. What they discovered is that patients with DKD who consume less than 0.8 grams of protein per kilograms a day had a significantly reduced decline in glomerular filtration rate and a significant decrease in proteinuria. So people with diabetes were able to significantly slow down kidney disease progression when reducing protein intake. I'm putting the emphasis on significantly here because that's not a word researchers use lightly. I mean, we are talking about the difference in GFR of 22.31 points here. That could mean delaying dialysis by years. That's a huge difference, not just a significant one. And we are talking about a low protein diet, not a very low protein diet. So this is not an extremely restrictive diet, more like what a vegetarian or a semi-vegan would eat. And other studies are also showing that a VLPD could be even better, even for those with diabetes, but as we have seen, that's a diet that comes with some serious restrictions and it can cause malnutrition. But that can be avoided. How can you avoid malnutrition problems in a VLPD? There is a supplement for that, keto analogs of amino acids. Very low protein diets are always coupled with some keto analog supplementation. The reason is malnutrition. Because while your kidneys really suffer from breaking down protein into amino acids, your body really needs amino acids. Amino acids are the building block of all the tissue inside your body. Keto analogs of amino acids are nitrogen-free analogs of essential amino acids. Nitrogen-free is the key here. Nitrogen is the part of protein that's actually putting all the burden on the kidneys and making CKD progress. So, to get the benefits of a low protein diet and avoid malnutrition, you can use these special amino acids. In short, the very low protein diet works based on the notion that the kidneys are damaged by protein. Once you remove protein from the diet almost completely, the kidneys will improve. A very low protein diet is not something you can self-prescribe though. It requires very precise calculations and a special supplementation. Okay, a question now. Should someone on dialysis follow a low protein diet? No, they shouldn't. Not after they start dialysis. I got asked this question a couple of times here, so I thought I should clarify. You see, the aim of the low protein is to protect the kidneys from nitrogen waste. Nitrogen waste is created by the metabolism of protein and it damages the kidneys. When you eat less protein, there is less nitrogen waste and the kidneys won't be damaged by it. Dialysis, however, will do just that, remove all the waste and toxins that the kidneys are supposed to remove, including nitrogen waste. This is why those on dialysis are told to eat a lot more protein, to even supplement it. Protein is good for your body. It's just the kidneys that are damaged by it. And just like for malnutrition that can be solved with a specific supplement, those following a VLPD are also at risk for vitamin deficiencies. What deficiencies are most common in those following a low protein diet? Because certain nutrients are only found in animal-based foods, those following a renal diet are more at risk than the general population for vitamin deficiencies. Vitamin B12, vitamin D, magnesium, iron are some of the most common deficiencies. But don't worry, there are foods and supplements you can use to avoid deficiencies and to help your kidneys improve. If you want to know more, this video up here is for you, and this is all for today. Thank you for watching. God bless.